How you doing? How you doing? Here today in Central Park. I'm freezing my ass off. Holy Lord, it's a cold one. But we came here to finish up the Dark Side series with probably one of the darker places in the city. As beautiful as Central Park is, oh boy, there's some weird stories here. I'm actually here next to the pond where if you strung every dead body together that they found in this place, you know, it would be very long, and you'd also be a really sick human being for doing something like that. Oh, first of all, Eric, how you doing?
Cold.
It's freezing, baby. Whoo, Lord, it's cold.
The darkest part of the park.
Yeah, the darkest, most shadowed part of the park. Good thing I wore long underwear, I'll tell you that. Anyways, we're going to be doing the Dark Side of the Central Park, finish up this series because, good Lord, it's making me depressed. Before we start, check out the Patreon, baby. Come on. That's, you know, there's some extras there, help fund these things, all that stuff. Also, too, subscribe. Come on, if you see more than one of these videos, just subscribe already. And also like the video, give it a thumbs up. That helps the old analytics, as all the tech heads in the world tell me. Let's get out of here. Anyways, yeah, we're doing Central Park here today. It's gonna be a nice one. A lot of tragedy in Central Park, from murders to assaults to robberies to, you know, the movie Made in Manhattan. All of those things took place here and have taken place here. So, yeah, what do you think, Eric? We got a lot of stuff to cover today. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, let's go.
You feel good?
I feel cold.
It is cold, but we got hand warmers.
Great.
I take care of my crew.
Let's start moving.
All right, let's do it, baby. All right, so I'm here at the northeast corner of Central Park, what is today Harlemere, but in 1942, it wasn't Harlemere yet. It was just this big area, bird sanctuary, and I'm here to tell you the story of Luis Almodovar and Anibal Almodovar. Yeah, thank you very much. Nice little accent there. I feel like the beginning of a rom-com. Meet Anibal Almodovar. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, this was a bird sanctuary then. So on November 2nd, 1942, a man named Friedolf Triemann was walking his dogs, Butch and Hassa, here, and one of them ran off and finds the body of a 24-year-old woman named Luis Almodovar. What's that, Butch? You found a dead body? Bad boy. Anyways, he goes and he finds, they got the police, they start investigating it. It leads them to her lover, a man named Anibal Almodovar, right? That was very nice. And they start investigating the guy. He turns it down. He says, hey, I was actually dancing at the moment. He was a big, so what happened with this guy was he dropped out of school in the 4th grade in Puerto Rico. He moved here. He wanted to be a professional dancer. He actually frequented a place on 125th called the Rumba Palace. That's right, the Rumba Palace, Eric. I'm sure it was related to the Twerk Townhouse or the Tango Castle or something. I don't know. Anyways, he was kind of a playboy, right? So Anibal had met Louise, and they got married 3 months after. Then 5 weeks into their marriage, they separated because she was getting in the way of him having all of his affairs with other women. What a stick in the mud, huh? Real stick in the mud. It's a classic story of, you know, boy meets girl, girl gets in the way of boy's affairs, boy murders girl and throws her in a ditch in Central Park, because that's exactly what happened. But it was harder to catch him because he had an alibi. He said he had been dancing that night before. But what they ended up doing is they tracked down a suit that he was wearing. He was wearing a suit the night that they believe she was murdered, November 1st, 1942, and he had pawned it the next day, actually. It was a green suit. He should have been arrested for wearing a green suit, but they actually tracked it down and they found some grass seeds in the pocket of the suit. And they found that these grass seeds only grew in certain places, one of them being in this area here of Central Park. But they found it using what they called forensic botany. It was a very new science. In fact, they used forensic botany to track down the kidnapper of the Lindbergh baby. Because they found lumber that was used to make the ladder that he used to kidnap the baby. That was from his actual property. So Bruno Hauptmann was his name. So it's a very little known area of forensics. You're not going to see any CSI shows I guess, with dealing with forensic botany, but still very important. Well, anyways, he's found guilty and he's sentenced to death, actually. This is before New York abolished the death penalty, because it's kind of insane. He's taken out, they had to restrain him with 9 people because he began like just wailing and made a huge scene. They put him in a straitjacket, actually, when they brought him to prison to put him on death row at Sing Sing. And he ended up getting executed that September. Pretty quick. Anyways, this is Harlem Mere now. I'll tell you about another crime that happened here in this area very soon. Ready for the next spot, Eric?
Very soon.
We're gonna be putting another one in between it though, chronologically.
Okay, not that soon.
Not that soon, but let's go to the next spot, huh?
All right, let's do it.
I'm freezing. All right, so now we are here in the Great Lawn of Central Park. It's a giant field, a great lawn where they've put on different concerts and events throughout its history. People like Garth Brooks, people like Dave Matthews, etc. But in 1983, there was a very big concert here that ended in kind of a tragedy. July 21st, 1983 was the date Diana Ross was set to perform here in the Great Lawn. Rain kind of postponed it. They did it the next day, July 22nd, 1983. Hundreds of thousands of people were out here. But when the concert was finished, a huge, basically, crime spree began against the people who attended the concerts. Turns out that about 300 teenagers unanimously decided, I'm coming out to mug you. Sorry about that, Eric. They came out here and they were mugging people and stealing thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, worth of wallets. They went down to Tavern on the Green, were flipping tables. It was just like this huge crime spree. Like around 80 people were arrested. Like I think 16 people went to the hospital. Like 40-something people reported injuries. Luckily, every single one of them decided, I will survive.
That's better.
Thank you. That was pretty good, right?
Less of a stretch.
Less of a stretch? Okay. Well, anyways, they survived. No one died, luckily, but lots and lots of damage. So the crime spree actually stretched all the way down to Times Square, where a French family was actually mugged. They actually went to a police officer to tell him about it, and he said, that's life. Goodbye. That's how he just brushed them off. Can you believe that? I'm sure that they were like, no, 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 mon ami, I'm going to yelp about this. Prêt à manger. You know? All right. Because of that concert, they stopped doing concerts here in the Great Lawn for a little while until the 90s, when they brought back the concerts with Paul Simon. And no one's going to get mugged during a Paul Simon concert, let's be honest. That'd be the most insulting way to get your wallet stolen while You Can Call Me Al is playing in the background. But all that was done to raise money for a playground that was eventually built a little north of here called the Diana Ross Playground. It was actually stalled for a little bit. There was issues with the money that was kind of supposed to be, I guess, retrieved from the sales of TV ads and all that stuff. But eventually the project decided that there ain't no mountain high enough.
3 out of 5 at least.
That was pretty good, right? Ain't no valley low enough to keep me getting to you. All right, well, anyways, they made the playground. It's there now. But all that happened in 1983, July 22nd, 1983. Big concert in Great Lawn turns into basically a nightmare for hundreds and hundreds of people here in Central Park. Kind of crazy. It was the 80s, 1983. It is a truly great lawn. All right, well, kind of cool. Feels like you're in the middle of a field somewhere, because that's the idea. That's why they built it like this. You're in the middle of a field. What do you think? Should we keep moving?
Back to civilization.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so I'm here back on the Harlem Mere in the northeast corner of Central Park to tell you the story of, kind of a bittersweet story. The story of Stephen McDonald, a police officer who was shot here in 1986. So the story is he was a rookie cop, only a couple of years into the force. He was doing a routine patrol, and he comes across these 3 young kids trying to steal bikes. He stops one of them. He thinks he sees a gun in the ankle of this kid. And while he's inspecting that and looking into that, another one of the kids had turned, taken a gun out, and shot him 3 times. He said that he only remembers the smell and the look of the fire, of the actual smoke coming out of the gun. He was actually hit in the neck, wrist, and right above the eye. He was pretty close to dying, was taken into the hospital, but was saved. Unfortunately, he was paralyzed from the neck down. His wife was like 6 months away from giving birth to his first child, who she did give birth to, and he was able to attend his baptism, but he was paralyzed for the rest of his life. The boy who shot him was named Shavod Jones, a 15-year-old kid. He went to jail. He went to jail for 8.5 years. But the good part of the story is what Stephen McDonald actually did with the rest of his life. He lived for more. He actually just recently died in 2017, but he lived a life preaching forgiveness. He actually spoke all around the country. He stayed on board with the NYPD and actually served to motivate and educate the other officers, but he preached a life of forgiveness. He actually has said, when people would ask him about his anger, he said that it was difficult. There were some days where he was mad and others where he wasn't, but he said his desire to forgive was more of an attitude that he tried to cultivate and a lifestyle he tried to lead. He said he could understand why a child would want to, especially a child from Shavod Jones's background would see him as a bad guy and want to hurt him, etc. And he tried to empathize and sympathize. And he said that he harbored no ill will towards him. And in fact, a couple years after Shavod Jones went to jail, he actually called him to ask for forgiveness. Eventually, he was released from prison in 1995 and died in a motorcycle accident. But McDonald lived. He lived till 2017 and really, made a huge impact on the city. And this plaque was put here to kind of commemorate him. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the guy was able to forgive another person who shot him and paralyzed him for his whole life. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I couldn't forgive my roommate for eating my arroz con pollo the other day, which he did. Still haven't forgotten. But, it's a pretty cool thing. And this plaque serves to remember this guy, Steve McDonald. In fact, the New York Rangers give out the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award every single year to the player who best kind of represents that going the extra mile attitude of the police officer. So yeah, I think for all of that stuff that I just said, Eric, do you think I have a chance at that award? All right. Well, with that, I guess we could just keep moving to the next spot. But I'm going to exercise my forgiveness with those guys walking through. How about that? I exercise forgiveness there, Eric. Give me the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award, huh?
I'll put in a nomination.
Thanks. All right, well, it's a heartwarming story in the sense that he was able to make a real, incredible, impactful life out of, all the things that happened to him. His son, actually, Connor, the one he was at the baptism for shortly after the shooting, is now a police officer on the NYPD. Pretty interesting story. Just one of the many interesting stories, I guess, that come out of Central Park. Anyways, I guess it's time to go to the next spot. What do you think, Eric? Should we go? Last one? Let's go. All right, we are here at our last spot, guys. We are next to the obelisk, Cleopatra's Needle. It's old. It's been here. It's been around since 1425 BC. It's been in New York since 1870. It was a gift from Egypt. Blah blah blah. We're not here to talk about that, baby. We want the dark stuff. Give me the dark stuff. All right. Well, this is the last story, and probably the most famous of all of them. We are in front of the field here where the body of Jennifer Levin was found, beginning what was called the Preppy Killer murder case. So we're behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where on August 26th, 1986, a woman discovered the body of an 18-year-old girl lying here next to a tree. In the investigation that followed, they found that a man named, a 19-year-old man, if you consider that a man, was the principal culprit. His name was Robert Chambers. He was like this 19-year-old good-looking dude, square jaw, the kind of guy you see you know, yelling at all his bros outside the bar in the East Village, like, hey, what's up, man? We're gonna go, we're gonna party, let's do it. Yeah, that guy. So first of all, they found the body. She was beat up, strangulation marks, like it was a bad scene. So they go to his house because they had found out that she had been with him the night before at a bar called Dorian's Red Hand, which is actually still around here in the Upper East Side. This place is bro heaven, baby. Whew, they serve beer in Mumford & Sons tote bags. You're required to wear Birkenstocks, and you know, I don't know. My references are a little dated, I guess, but you get it. Very, very like party atmosphere, a lot of drinking and stuff. And that night, Robert Chambers got into a fight with his girlfriend, Alex, you know, so he met up with Jennifer Levin there. They left and they came here behind the Met to this field where they proceeded to have sex. You know, let's keep it PG, right, Eric?
Yes.
Always. Anyways, but he claimed that he threw her off because it got too rough. And in the process accidentally killed her. And the media kind of bought it. His attorney Jack Littman really pushed this theory, so all the papers as they were covering it called it kind of like a rough sex case, all that and the other. He had scratches all over his face, which he had initially tried to blame on his cat. The old blame your cat for all the sex injuries, huh? I guess like, oh yeah, the herpes, that was my cat Henry Hissinger, I don't know. Anyways.
Why is your cat named Henry Kissinger?
I don't know, people like to name their cats puns and stuff, I guess. Anywho, he gets taken in, interrogated, all that stuff, and he kind of switches his story, says that she had gotten too rough, he threw her off, all that stuff. It was a total mess, but the case begins, right? And everyone's watching it closely. This was like the biggest case of 1986. And keep in mind, in 1986, New York City was a very dangerous place. You know, there was like over 1,900 murders then. Compare that to 2014 when there was like, a little over 600 murders. Very different. So anyways, people are watching it. It's very, very, and in the case, Jennifer Levin is dragged through the mud. They brought up the fact that she kept a diary of some of the sexual exploits she had. They questioned her whole morality and everything, and they made him seem like an altar boy. In fact, he was an altar boy, but the church, a man named Theodore McCarrick, actually wrote a letter. He was the Archbishop of Newark. He wrote a letter pushing the city to let him post bail, which they did. Theodore McCarrick actually later on was defrocked as a priest for sexual abuse. And there are theories that actually that was one of the reasons why they pushed so hard to get him bail, was because of a kind of like, you know, questionable blackmail situation where he might have been abused. Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So this all is happening. The case pushes forward. She's getting dragged. Jack Littman's playing the press, and the prosecutor's named Linda Fairstein, who ended up being the prosecutor in the Central Park 5 case. If you watch the Netflix documentary, she gets really tossed as being like a racist and unethical, etc. In fact, she sued Netflix and Ava DuVernay for defamation. Crazy. And I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So Jack Littman was kind of a controversial attorney because he did play the press so much, but at the same time, he claimed that he was just being a zealous advocate for his client, which he was. So if you were, you know, you would want him as your attorney, I guess, if you were a little guilty boy like Robert Chambers. Jury deliberates for 9 days. They can't find enough premeditation to get the second-degree murder. He gets manslaughter, first-degree manslaughter, goes to prison for the maximum of 15 years, actually. He gets out in 2003, goes to jail again for suspended license, and then again later on, in 2008, he goes to jail again for a longer time because he was running a drug ring with his girlfriend out of his apartment. You know that old story. Boy meets girl, girl gets boy to run a drug ring out of the apartment. So that's kind of how his life ended. He's still in jail now. He's supposed to get out in a couple years, actually. The family of Jennifer Levin are very upset. She actually becomes an advocate for different laws we pass, and she's partly responsible for like different rape shield laws passed, which rape shield laws basically say you can't victim blame, which is what they say kind of happened in this case, and you can't, like, you know, access the sexual history past of a rape victim or a sexual assault victim the way they did with Jennifer Levin. It became a really, really famous case. In fact, Sonic Youth wrote a song about it. The Killers, you know who the Killers are, Eric?
I feel like here it comes.
You know the song Jenny Was a Friend of Mine?
No, Tom, I don't.
Tell me what you wanna know.
Wow,
There
Tom, that's pretty good.
It's like, there ain't no motive for this crime.
Oh, actually,
Jenny was a friend of mine. Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Ooh. That was pretty good, right?
That was outstanding.
I think we lost half the viewers right in the middle of that, so I'm gonna stop. All right, but that was the story of the Preppy Killer. If you want to learn more about this, there's actually a big documentary on this that just came out like a year ago, where they interview all these people. I'm just out here with Eric. It's just me and him. We don't have $10 billion. We're freezing our, our nugget pouches off out here. All right. Well, anyways, let's wrap this thing up and go to the last spot, right, Eric?
All right.
All right, guys, and that is the end of the video. I'm here, back at the pond. Different angle from the beginning, Got to add some production value in there, but it's also freezing, so I didn't want to go too far. Yeah, so guys, we covered a lot of crazy stuff. Started out with an old-timey crime in the northeast of the park with some forensic botany. Then we went to a Diana Ross concert. Go figure, of all the places you can go. And then we went to the tale of a heroic police officer and ended with one of the most scandalous murders in New York history. We're ending here, back at the pond. And I think this is going to be the end of the Dark Side series for a little bit, most likely. They're kind of sad stories and dark stories, but it's important to know these things, because, we can kind of explore all these darker sides of ourselves without really doing anything terrible, and in the process, we can go back out into the world and reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make the world a better place if you can. Diana Ross, baby. You didn't think I was going to sing again.
No, I really didn't.
Well, you thought wrong. But here we are, guys, at the end of the video. Before we go, guys, please, please, please check out the Patreon if you enjoyed it. Helps fund the videos. There's some extras on there. Yeah, it's all pretty much PG. Also, too, give it a little subscribe and a thumbs up. Eric, what'd you think, man?
What about warmest interiors of New York?
Warmest interiors of New York is going to be the next 10 videos. It's going to be a 10-part series after this, a 10-part series of the warmest interiors in New York. Yeah, it's freezing. It's very, very cold. I think it's like 17 degrees. Well, we did this for you, baby. We did this for you. All right, Eric. You got anything to say other than that it's cold?
It's been a good series.
It has been a good series. It's been a good run, baby. So I think we're good. This is the pond, Central Park. A lot of cool stuff we covered today. So I'll see y'all later. Sick.